While the video examined things from the traditional consumer-brand relationship perspective, we must recognize that in higher education, our institutions do represent brands, and our consumers, whether they be students, faculty, staff, parents, alumni, grantors, or any other of our numerous constituents, will be actively conversing about us throughout the social media sphere. We need to be there to meet, greet, and interact with them in order to best represent our brand image. In order to give the Office of Strategic Communications at the New Jersey Institute of Technology a way of contextualizing how its use of the Twitter platform compares to peer institutions, we undertook the project of performing a competitive analysis of Twitter use between NJIT, Rutgers, Let's take a look at our findings. Twitter has been used by the New Jersey Institute of Technology's former University Web Services Department, now a part of the Office of Strategic Communications, for just over 2.5 years. And in that time, they've attracted over 750 followers, been listed over 30 times, and have posted almost 700 tweets. There are currently several active NJIT Twitter accounts. One that is the General University Twitter account, one for athletics, continuing professional education, the student newspaper The Vector, and a Twitter account used by the former University Communications, also now part of the Office of Strategic Communications, as a news feed to reporters. Each of these Twitter accounts also has a separate style and personality. Some are simple RSS feeds of longer press releases or news stories. Several focus on very specific areas. The general NJIT account functions similarly, but also uses on occasion a first-person view of things occurring on campus, or will, when possible, answer questions that are posed by student Twitter users. Now let's examine the data that compares the Twitter use of NJIT, Rutgers, RIT, and MIT. NJIT had 5 primary Twitter accounts, 21 secondary or affiliate accounts. They had 824 Twitter followers out of an enrollment of 8,398. They had tweeted 756 times and were listed 33 times. Rutgers had 7 primary Twitter accounts, 16 secondary or affiliate accounts. They had 1,399 followers on Twitter out of an enrollment of 64,400. They had tweeted 382 times and were listed 70 times. RIT had no general Twitter account and tweeted primarily from RIT News and had 3 other primary accounts. They did, however, have 32 secondary or affiliate accounts. They had 2,141 Twitter followers out of an enrollment of 17,206. They had tweeted 1,484 times as RIT News, were listed 176 times. MIT did not have a general Twitter account, but one primary account, that of MIT News. They had 74 secondary or affiliate accounts. They had 4,090 Twitter followers, with their enrollment being 10,384. They tweeted 577 times, and most remarkably were listed 544 times, nearly a list for every tweet. Here we can see a sample tweet from NJIT and a sample tweet about NJIT. In examining NJIT's Twitter feed, there are a number of observations that can be made. In general, the NJIT Twitter feed seems to ask questions of its followers. It also seems quite ready to answer questions that are posed to it. There are news items that go out. There are announcements of events, retweets of some of their followers' observations about NJIT. Also, frequently, if there's a tweet about an event, a twit pic or an image will be included with that, as well as links either coming from Facebook or linking to YouTube. So the NJIT Twitter account seems to be making use of multiple social media channels. Some observations on the Rutgers Twitter account. If you do a Twitter search for Rutgers or Rutgers University, there are a lot of tweets concerning their athletics programs. You see a lot of information coming from the affiliate accounts. Also, unfortunately, there's still several tweets that are going on about the unfortunate suicide incident that occurred and the resulting anti-harassment legislation that was being put forward. So the Rutgers brand has definitely been affected by that, and we still can see that on Twitter. Looking at the RIT Twitter account, one of the things we noticed, they have a very similar issue with monitoring tweets as NJIT itself does. Apparently, RIT has a meaning in Dutch, which you can pick up rather quickly. You'll see a lot of foreign language tweets, and they are originating from Amsterdam. Apparently, if you do a Google search for RIT in Dutch, it means a short ride on horseback or in a vehicle. So that can make it quite difficult to pull out significant information if you're trying to follow what's going on with the RIT Twitter account. The RIT News account specifically seems to follow a few models, sending out standard news and sports tweets, as well as personally addressing and retweeting students about RIT. In particular, something interesting, RIT has a communication specialist on staff who tweets from their personal account, soliciting news, pictures, and things from the student body, and that really, it puts a real person behind those tweets. So you're seeing an actual person, you're interacting with an actual person, and then they'll take that information and put it up through the RIT feed. It's a very interesting model. Lastly, looking at MIT, once again, as with NJIT and RIT, there is the interesting language issue. MIT being, of course, German, it does create several false leads, if you will, when going through their Twitter feed. Also, similar to RIT, they don't have a general Twitter account with the voice of the institution, but rather they use MIT News. MIT in particular has numerous very detailed department, group, lab, even class-specific Twitter accounts. And they do seem to take advantage of that. So rather than a push from the institutional level, it's really more of a groundswelling coming up through the institution itself. MIT News tweets, it's a very formal style. It sends out short headlines with a link to the longer story. There are occasional retweets of MIT-related stories from other parties, but definitely no voice of the institution or any public interaction with other Twitter users that is observable. From the data and observations, we can offer 4 specific recommendations in regards to NJIT's Twitter use. The first is that by looking at the ratio of Twitter followers to enrolled students, we can create a metric. It is an imperfect one, as an institution will have other users, such as alumni, faculty, community groups, news media, and so on, who will follow the Twitter account. But all things being equal, an institution's enrollment is a good general guide to its size. Now, in examining this metric across our sample institutions, we can see that NJIT is clearly ahead of Rutgers, and within a few percentage points of RIT. It seems fair to say that a technology school should indeed be leading the way in use and adoption of new technologies such as Twitter. MIT shows us the imperfection in this metric in that it has an amazing almost 40% follower to enrolled student ratio. It would also be fair to say that MIT is a world leader and as such has a significantly larger percentage of external Twitter followers. From these measures, we recommend that NJIT continue to try to actively recruit more Twitter followers and use on campus. One method to do so would be adding value for the followers by offering a contest which is announced and entered through the Twitter platform. This ratio should be re-examined at least once a year with a target goal of a 15% ratio. Our second recommendation is to contact the Twitter account managers at RIT and MIT and see if they'd be willing to engage in a conversation about some of their stylistic choices in using Twitter. Before this research project was conducted, NJIT had no real understanding of whether or not peer institutions even had a Twitter style. Now that we have that information, we can better understand if NJIT's unique use of an institutional voice is beneficial or if it could be utilized at other universities. The third recommendation was generated during the research process of trying to quantify the number of primary, secondary, and official affiliated Twitter accounts. Most of this needed to be done by hand through Twitter searches and examinations of who identified accounts were following. MIT News had created its own Twitter list of recognized MIT Twitter accounts. That not only made the research process significantly easier, but it also allowed their Twitter users with an interest in MIT-related topics to easily be able to drill down into their areas of interest and find new MIT accounts to follow. We would recommend that NJIT create such a Twitter list of recognized Twitter accounts, as well as consider creating a social media web page with this list replicated and also containing such recommendations for official NJIT Facebook accounts, Flickr sites, and YouTube and iTunes U links. Our final recommendation is that to ensure that anyone who will be using an official NJIT Twitter account can best craft messages that will be well received and useful to our followers, a visual persona guide should be created by giving a face and a name and scenarios in which these composite users will be interacting with NJIT via Twitter. It reduces the abstractions of the digital environment and will allow our Twitter operators to feel a more personal connection with our followers and hopefully serve them better. In conclusion, Twitter is one service of many that are continually being created in our ever-expanding online environment. Its ease of use, large user population, and rich feature set, which includes API tools and integration with Facebook, have differentiated it from current competitors and has made it one of NJIT's and of many other universities' primary communication channels. For the foreseeable future, we'll be using this tool in many ways and places throughout the university. By having a document which describes our likely users and scenarios of use that has been vetted through a competitive analysis process, we can provide all NJIT departments, faculty, and staff with a baseline document to ensure their effective and appropriate use of this exciting medium.